to another installment of Shop Talk Tuesday. Hey, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, Hanging with the Guy. I am Justin the Guy, and you are looking at my shop, which is in a garage. In any case, I'm a small business owner, and I'm about as small as you can get. There's probably a couple that are smaller, but hey, in any case, it's not a race to the bottom, right? But we are going to talk about some pretty intense topics. Being said, it's not the greatest time. It wasn't the best of times, and it wasn't the worst. Well, it could be. Anyway, we are going to be talking about my adventures in the NBDA, National Bike Dealer Association conference that there was in Las Vegas, and my takeaway of my perspective. It's one of those things that it was so much information, it's hard to unpack. And obviously I wrote notes, which a lot of people do, and they will have a rebuttal, I think, or something of that nature, of slides or what have you, to kind of refresh on further topics. But this is kind of just flash of pan. This is how I'm feeling a few days after the actual conference, and also the CABDA show, which was very interesting reflection after sitting with the rooms of all these dealers and then going to a typical, well, not so typical show, in my opinion, because things are way different. The new norm, the reset, however the verbiage is played out, is I can firmly say, and most of us feel the same way within the cycling industry, especially independent bike dealers that have been around for a long time. We have not seen anything like this ever before, and our new norm is still being constructed, brought to light. I don't know. It's just, and that can change on a dime-ish. But a lot of shops have gone back to their go-to hard bedrock, basically building their communities and so forth, which is a good push in that direction. But what I've been seeing at the actual upper level of the actual show, especially the conference portion of it, did resonate within the conversations I did have at the actual bike portion of it. So I know it sounds kind of confusing. There was two things going on in the same week. 2 days before was the NBDA, and then the actual CABDA show, which was the Wednesday, Thursday, where you get to look at products, and it's kind of fun, and talk to, vendors and, other bike shop people and that kind of thing, and test ride bikes and what have you. But in any case, let's dive in this without further ado. Please feel free to throw something in the chat. This is a interactive podcast forum. I don't know what you want to call this. A bike mechanic trying to do YouTube. That's what I try to put it in. And our conversations with other people in the cycling industry last week was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, yours truly got pointed out. I was like, hey, I watch you, or I listen to you. Like, it's kind of it's great that I'm broadening the reach to my family of members of cycling, which is awesome. Feel very empowered to be a voice, and just even anything at the end of the day, that you're not alone in this cycling world of either working on bikes or riding them, or your favorite shop, and getting your insights of what's going on with the industry, which is affecting them. It's, obviously I'm in the United States. Well, maybe not so obvious, but I'm in the United States, in Colorado, basically the dead center of the country. And we have a huge cycling scene here, which is awesome. But on the flip side of it, the effects that is affecting us is actually bleeding outwards, which is, I do have to say right off the bat, sorry. Did a lot of sorrying with those others from other countries coming to the show. Like, this is just a mess, and we're trying to navigate it, and here we are. So in any case, I'll jump in the chat here in a second here, but since we have one of our trusted partners in the room, we're going to give him a little bit of a shout out by popular chain process or waxing of Vital Bike Chains provides brand names like Shimano, SRAM, and various others to be cleaned in high detailed 5-step process, and then wax to your professional level with either speed chip or endurance chip, which has been proven to have better performance and better lasting events and recreational riding. Takes care of the messy process, and all you have is the clean wax chain ready to perform. Check them out. Discount code with a link below. Yeah, that's Bill from Vital Bike Chains. He just put it in the chat there. Swag from the show. Well, the swag I'm going to give you is knowledge. Okay, bad joke. Anyway, here we are. Not much swag that I picked up. It's kind of like one of those things like, do I need more crap to go in my office and just sit there? So the stuff I did get, I pretty much gave away to people that I know to make it more fun. Any case, yes, the environment of Las Vegas is very interesting. If you've never been to Vegas, it's everything every movie you've seen. There is, the NBDA conference was at the Plaza, which is at the end of Old Vegas, which is Fremont Street. And they have a lot of entertainment, a lot of casinos, a lot of people watching, and it gets weird. Just gets, the later it goes, the weirder it gets. Everything you thought. And picking that particular hotel was like, okay, cool. You must have got a really good price. Anyway, that's fine. I like Fremont. It's highly entertaining. But in any case, I didn't go there to just soak my sorrows in the beverages there. I was there to be basically a fly on the wall, right? And to listen. And this is the first one of these conferences. And they are actually new anyway. So I've been to a lot of conferences, but actually basically piggybacking from my wife's conferences, which is all science, scientific community type thing. It was kind of fun to see something that's like cycling specific, bikes specific, business specific, as in vendors, brands, as well as a whole bunch of bike shop people, from owners, from variations. Let me set the stage here. In a conference room, your typical conference room, tables, stage, people everywhere. We were assigned tables, that kind of thing. We're supposed to, it's all about collaboration and talking to people, be a part of it, because a lot of times bike people, especially shop owners, and especially in smaller areas or wherever, become isolated. They've always been kind of like, I feel like I'm the only one in here trying to do this thing. And sometimes it's hard to reach out, where although a lot of you have reached out to me through YouTube and other social media platforms saying, hey, I'm here, kind of thing. So setting the stage of these individuals, I would say without a doubt that the cycling industry that relates to independent bike dealers, we are a whole bunch of a big, huge room of wackadoodles. Well, I say that very nicely in a very positively way. Reason being is a lot of people have different perspectives of getting into the cycling industry. A lot of people find their path getting there through various, either they're passionate about it. Me, I basically grew up in the bike shop in a sense. Hold on here. I'll explain this in a second here. I have to let somebody in at the gate or condo. That was part of the reason I had to cut my trip a little short. Well, ish. Anyway, back to the individuals of bike people. I've noticed this back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, when I first hung out at the bike shop with my parents and saw other bike shop owners. Very diverse group. From various different perspectives. Some are really funny and laughable. Some people are very serious and businesslike. Some people are in between. Some are former racers. Some are former mechanics. All those things, right? So what you get is a very huge, broad perspective of how people have gotten into it, okay? And they're all very different. So when you go into like some other kind of conferences, like my wife's scientific conference, a lot of people are kind of, not to say it's bad, but a lot of kind of the same because they have all the PhDs and whatever science thing they have. Bike people are just all over the place. They either came from bizarre backgrounds to on the farm or what have you. I grew up on a farm, ranch farm. Anyway, so in any case, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different personalities. But bike mechanics are usually pretty introverts. They like working on things, but not talking to people. You got that kind of thing as a ownership of bike shops. And then you have some that are just, all about the business, the units per transactions, the charts, the graphs, the profitability and all that, which is needed, of course, to run a business. We all realize, and there's a running joke, that if you ever want to make $1 million in the bike industry as an independent bike dealer, you need to start off with 2. But it's a passion. Let's just get it down to, when it comes down to brass taxes, we're all there for our passion. And that's what I felt in the room. It's like the people organizing it, the people dealing with all these dealers and vendors, it's a passion. Therefore, we love the cycling communities, the bicycle, the basic bicycle, right? Well, we're not talking about the tech parts of it. We're not talking about how many change speeds there are, all those things. No pun on Vital Bike Chains in the chat. It's just, we were talking about the state of the business and how we're going to drive our business to help our communities, not necessarily customers. That's how I've been kind of presenting it. And that's where a lot of things that I've been feeling and saying and so forth were resonated within the room with other perspectives. So I felt like I was not alone either. And people are seeing the same things that I've been seeing. And some of them have been around for a long time, longer than me, and talk about it. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is real, right? It's really happening. All these things are not just my little ecosystem, my perspective. I'm not just totally left of center or whatever it is. I'm resonating when I'm talking about things and within the cycling industry. And it's actually, fortunately, a lot of it's true. And train wreck feeling and all these things. But there is a silver lining to it, or not silver lining, a little bit of hope, lighter than a tunnel. It's more like it. But yeah, I promise to be engaging in the chat. So, hey, let's jump in the chat. We got the first conversation piece here from Pedro. Can't even begin to imagine what you saw, man. You can recover from a lifelong scars of Vegas. We go to Vegas a lot, so it's not really scars. There are some things there. And some people just ain't right. And that is true. Probably more talking about the actual Vegas experience. There's a whole different levels of it. You can go to Las Vegas and go to the outskirts, go to some local bike shops. Beautiful riding out there. Beautiful riding. I mean, it's overcast because of the Las Vegas Strip, shows and all that. But there is a huge, like a city sprawl and awesome riding, hiking, activities. The people are great. Most of my experiences there have been really good since we've been mostly off strip. And then we do like the day trip or whatever and see all the craziness. And we scurry back to our condo, which technically now has water damage, and I had to deal with all of that weirdness. But in any case, at the end of the trip, nothing to, end a trip going, great, now we have all this, bathroom needs to be completely redone because of water damage from the upstairs neighbor. In any case, I'm not going to talk more about that. That's just kind of how to cut my trip short a little bit, because I had to address those issues on the last day of the bike show. I wanted to really reach out and tackle some of these other either influencers or connections and so forth for the last day of the show and do some more footage, but unfortunately I had to go deal with that. So if you were there and hoping to see me and I didn't get a chance to see me, I truly apologize. Next year we'll try to be a lot less hectic, but I don't know. It always seems to be hectic anyway, one way or another. But anyway, 65 Bug Nut, good morning to you in Southeast Nebraska. Getting ready to, root canal. Good luck to you. I've had a few of those. Hopefully, actually sometimes the root canal, getting them done is actually good because the pain goes away. But yeah, I feel your pain. Literally, I've been there several times, but I hope it goes all well for you. Vital Bike Chains, yes. I will be talking to you tomorrow. Hopefully so. I got some ideas and things, but anyway. And Jared Johnson, F9s, March 28th, America Rise Up. Yeah. Absolutely. Try not to be political, but yes, things need to go in a different direction, please. That alludes to other things that are going on. Gas prices going up. We got ourselves into some conflict overseas, and needless to say, tariffs were a big a big topic of vendors' perspective at the conference, and everything else of the state. It's not great. And listening to vendors talking about their troubles of getting products in without elevating the price. So if you're a cyclist or bike shop people that not really realize what's going on, which there probably are, and not to say, but going to reiterate it, the tariffs that you've seen as the price increases have not been shown in the MSRP yet, because a lot of companies were absorbing those. Talking to some vendors firsthand, they were absorbing them because they had some inventory and so forth already. But now going into spring, which we're there, into summer and through the next year, those prices are now going to be pushed and carried. That tax is going to be carried over to the consumer. Bottom line, going to happen. You're going to see a spike. On top of that, gas prices are up. Stock market's all weird. Got a bizarre conflict that we need to try to figure out how to get out of. Where's the exit ramp? Why do we get on the on-ramp in the first place? It's so unclear. Not to try to be political, but this is definitely hitting the average cyclist. Either hits them at home where they have job loss, either need to get rid of a vehicle or start riding their bike, upcycle. When they're buying a new bike, it's going to be in the used market versus new. They had a big conversation about the K-shaped economy. Got really more educated on that because I'm not an economist, but perspectives from industry leaders explaining it goes, oh, that's why it's hitting the bed right now, because it's either super high-end stuff or all lower-end service stuff, and there's nothing in between. And hearing this being resonated through different conversations across different perspectives within the cycling community, from vendors to small bike shops, this is what we're in. This is how we're going to be looking at going forward into the season. But anyway, that's where we're at. Oh man, so let's see here. Goodfellas. It's kind of like in the mobster movie. Yeah. Side note: Riviera used to be a hotel in Las Vegas. That was the first place I actually went to in the '90s for the Interbike bike show. The Riviera, and Riviera was old then, which makes it, it's gone now. But they're talking about Goodfellas. They were shooting a movie there a famous movie called Casino. And that was one of the backdrops of using Riviera because it was so old, and then they can use it as an older piece. So you walk in all dusty drunk from out partying or whatever in my 20s, and we'd see this whole production Hollywood thing going on at middle of the night because that's when they did the shooting. And you had like the 60s, costumes and so forth, and they'd rope off the areas, which was really cool. And lo and behold, one of my friends, or bike buddy, his girlfriend, now wife at the time, was hanging out. We went to bed early-ish to go to the show after midnight, and they proceeded to keep going. And they were hanging out at the bar, and my friend, didn't realize that she was hanging out with one of the actors, Joe Pesci. And she didn't know it. Love telling the story. It's like nothing like hanging out with somebody, drinking club sodas, and you're like, having a general conversation, and it turns out, and her friend's like, that was Joe Pesci, right? Like an actor, and he was big then. So anyway, I tell the bikes industry to bring back regular bikes for regular people. Absolutely, and that was definitely kind of, I wouldn't say a big resurgence of that from the independent bike dealers. So the vendors that are there were not the big vendors of, I guess there was a couple there, but I don't know how much influence that they have with their company, but a couple were there, and a couple of them just listen, and they are understanding there's this huge, there's a huge like big gap, and it has been, and that's where my business model developed from, is entry-level bikes, getting people into road riding, specifically in my niche, without paying too much money under a grand to get into riding. Yeah, so the bike brands have pulled up their pricing higher and higher and higher, and they totally let go of the entry-level bike and just let the Walmart and Targets take that market. And if they want to push back and bring in people back into their corporate stores now, Trek and Specialized specific, you best bring in some lower end bikes, because they're still going to go to Walmart and Target, and they may never come back to cycling. That is, not whatever. So they may not see that. So they need to cultivate that. Yeah, I love it. You're talking about the 32-inch wheel. If you're a big individual, like I'm about 6 foot, but like 6'4" or taller, yes. But I don't think it's going to be as big as 29er. I mean, talking our conversation with Gary Fisher before about that. But anyway, I want to share a point, and it was in Brain. They just released it this morning. While I'm loading this up, I will let you listen into other trusted partner of mine here while I'm loading this up.
Typical Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style of hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and shrewd. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set where it works for you.
Okay, hopefully this switched over correctly. Double check this. Okay, it did. All right, so what we're looking at here, Bicycle Wheel Warehouse, that's where I've been getting some wheels for replacement for stock. To reiterate what we're going through into the next season and two, vendors that sell to bike shops, and if you're a bike shop, you know this, QBP, JBI, BTI, all those acronym brands sell bikes to bike shops or sell parts to bike shops and wheels. And where we're going to have a pinch is a lot of those wheels are not going to be available from those vendors. So keep in mind, bike shops and consumers alike, what you're going to be faced with when you're bringing your bike in and a tech identifies that a wheel needs to be replaced, they will look at their vendors that they're going to originally, and those vendors will be short on supply of inventory. So a good shop, and I say best practices, you would have a couple different lines of vendors, which a lot of them are gone this direction, to look for those parts that may not be in that vendor, but they might be able to find a better fit in another vendor. And Bicycle Wheel Warehouse is one of those other vendors for wheels, which is a lot of replacements of wheels in the service department. So, and they do all varieties and kinds. So either a vendor or a consumer, keep in mind, if a bike tech is telling your bike the wheel set needs to be replaced and their options are not quite match, you can go there yourself and go, oh, I found something a little bit better here. Either give that information to the tech or buy it yourself or what have you, or bike shops can do the other as well. Contact Bicycle Wheel Warehouse and work with them to be able to get wheels. It is going to be one of those things where a bike mechanic, a bike service tech, a bike shop owners are going to have to navigate all this weirdness to help the bike be the best it can be for that consumer, which is our community, to have the best experience possible. So anyway, technical matches, that's where the Bicycle Warehouse, as well as Contito Road, which Connex chains, as well as Vital Bike Chains, all of them are going to be great assets to the cycling industry, bike shop, independent bike shops to be able to produce the best service possible for their communities. So going to the actual conference, this is a great little write-up. I only got a chance to read a little bit of it because it published as I was basically walking into the garage. I was going to say stage, but it's not a stage, it's my garage. So in any case, so the first paragraph, if anything, says it all right off the bat. And this was after the introduction and welcome to NBDA. Kirsten jumps on the stage and basically lays it all out. Like, you know, it lays it all out in brutal honesty right off the bat. He basically says, and I'm going to read this for word, the cavalry is not coming. There's no bailout in the horizon. The future of your business is in your hands. That's it. Like mic drop right there. I mean, that's where, you know, vendors are not going to save us. You know, we have to take empowerment and work with each other, a sense of community where, you know, they talked on a little bit more about that as look to your left, look to your right kind of concept. These are the people that are going to help you navigate through all this. And, you know, some of us have more experience. Some of us have different age experience where one of the avid opinion pieces are written. It's only on the web version because the limitation in the print is too little for him. Vospar, great guy, been around forever. He did a great demonstration or history teaching of the whole Schwinn saga and how it's affecting or how it's being leveraged today. But in any case, back to the point here. It's basically we're in a very unpredictable, chaotic market, and there's no wins, really, easy wins, you know, in the horizon for us as independent bike dealers, as in brands, as in cyclists. I mean, yeah, you can go ride your bike, but when you need that tire or that chain, if it's a specific brand, it's either not there or it's going to be way more than you expected. So that's going to be impacting our communities. And, you know, we're unfortunately cannot absorb that as a bike shop. We are already on razor thin margins. So let's put this in perspective for a little bit for you for a side note. For those who are just watching this that are just ride bikes, well, you have the manufacturer that builds the parts, and those manufacturers sell to companies like BTI, or QBP, or JBI, which are acronyms of wholesalers within the United States. And this is a global thing too. So you have your wholesaler has their markup. So you got the manufacturer markup, wholesaler markup, then it gets to the bike shop. So you get the time it gets to the consumer has been marked up 3 times to support their businesses. So for the poor bike shop, usually gets the short end of the stick because the margin gets eroded by that point, which when you're talking about tariffs and cost of delivery and shipping, all that goes into the next portion. Inventory is just going to be very tricky for a lot of bike shops. And they've been telling bike shops to review their inventory portals, vendors, where they're getting this stuff, and pricing on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, because all those things are going to change. And you can't have a customer come in and tell them that the wheel set's going to cost them $200. Then when you go to order it, and now it's going to MSRP is $250, and all of a sudden that 20%, 30% margin is eroded even more so down to 10% for the bike shop. And the bike shop has the more expensive lift because we have overhead, the overhead of the building, insurance, lights, everything else in between, and then on top of that, people. So it's you know, that's why I meant the razor thin margins or anything like this is also goes in a negative. So that's the pinch point. But the flip side of it, that service dollars generates more labor, and the labor actually is good for the bike shop because it's, you know, it's not taxed. And that part of it really helps bike shops able to you know, leverage something that actually there's a current need for. Basically, that's the basic business 101. You got to have a product that the consumers need at that time. Also, SWAT, sell what's available today. And that's a situation where it's tough because a lot of these bike shops business models are based on about 8 to 10% of the income for the whole shop being from the service department. The other 80% to 90% is generated from sales of bikes, and that's gone. So where a lot of shops have to leverage and start moving either in two directions and full court press, and if they have not figured this out by last year, they are going to figure it out this year, or they're not going to be around. And that being said, is two pieces. Service labor dollars are going to go up because you're providing service, building, fixing bikes and all this for your community. Not saying no to any service work in the sense that, you're not going to have somebody bring in a bike and try to upsell them onto a new bike. That's gone. And then you have the other perspective is leveraging used, having trade-in events, bringing in used products and bikes and so forth to put on your floor to help fill in that 80% gap. You still will sell new bikes. There is, and there's some e-bike push or e-bike traction going on still, and maybe some gravel, and maybe depending on the various markets. But that K-shaped economy is pushed either really expensive or really cheap, and it all depends where that bike shop's demographic is. Either can leverage both or one or the other. So it's going to be rough, needless to say. So that being understand, dealers going under financial pressure is definitely a huge thing. Prices we just talked about, and e-bike sales. I mean, we had disruption with Rad Sports having their issues, trying to figure out all these other X brands and legislation talking about e-bike safety, and there's full throttle bike safety. That's a whole different subject, but it is an impact on a lot of shops because a lot of shops are still leveraging those sales of e-bikes, and they have to navigate that. And People for Bikes and various other agencies out there are trying to help drive the direction of the right way of doing legislation for this, classifications and all those things, because it has to be done. And if you just leave it to those who really don't know the industry to develop these policies, it's not going to work. It's going to be a worse outcome out of everything else. But in any case, so yeah, those are like the 4 bullet points from Brain. And then talking about other, like Bob McGreevis, he's from Specialized, one of the original dudes at Specialized. I think he's still affiliated and what have you. And then you had QBP, another Bob and his Bill from QBP talked. Remember that. And a couple other vendors, and they had like a vendor breakout, not a breakout session, but on the second day they had a vendors. Some of them talk about BTI was there, QBP, Bike Flights, and a couple others. A company that makes sustainable water bottles, and I'm trying to remember the other guy. It was an e-bike brand, and they were taking kind of they had pre-made questions, and they answered them. So this is the thing. This is the hot and stinky mess there is, but we'll go to that after I look into your chat here. Shrin Guy, welcome back to the channel, or to the garage, just to say the garage. Hi all from Arizona, building and serving bikes in my garage. Oh, nice. Retired from the bicycle industry, but can't give up the wrench. I will work on them until my fingers don't work anymore. I mean, that's how I am. I mean, arthritis will be the death of me if it comes to that. I love building wheels. Hey, awesome. That's a great lost art. Building wheels. Absolutely. I built a lot of wheels in my time. And yeah, I enjoy doing some of that stuff, but it is, it is what it is. So going back to the point, the hot and stinky mess. The division. There is a huge division within the cycling industry, and there always was. Let's not dance around this. This is my opinion piece, of course, but there's always been a division from the bike shop owners, independent bike shop owners, and the wholesalers that produce the products or the brands and all those things in between. Right? Always been a division. And a division in the 90s, like the bike shops, We'd open up a shop in an area. We would have brands come to us and go, hey, we want to extend our market, whatever, in your shop. And I remember this when we were opening our shop, Parker Bikes. You can see the sign behind me. Back in the late 80s, they had a little meeting with several brands all in the same room, and my parents listened to each one of their pitches. And this was before we even had the building set up and everything. This was just jockeying the position and so forth. So that particular moment in time, brands were fighting for independent bike dealers to put their brands in their shop, to be the, take over a little more of that market, that kind of thing. That was good competition amongst those brands to compete for the interests of the independent bike dealers. Well, through the course of history in the last 30 years, those brands got really big and they started dictating the market and they started dictating a lot of shops. You only could carry only us. T&S specifically had a big pants down, duke it out in the early 2000s. Either you became a Trek concept store or you became a specialized concept store. And then they gave you a laundry list of stuff you're supposed to carry and hit certain marks. And then all of a sudden, the independent bike dealer lost its power of being able to be independent. They were now basically becoming what it is today, corporate stores. So needless to say, I found that is a very disheartening part of leveraging away from small. Not all the shops did this. Either you had two directions. If you didn't go the corporate, you didn't go the concept store direction. Either you stayed as an independent, you took other brands, and you just told everybody to, or you went the other direction. You were so big that you told both brands, "I'm just going to buy what I'm going to buy, and if you don't want my business." And therefore, you're looking at a scenario where you either had the smaller shops just plug away and just deal with whatever brands are willing to work with them, or you had the bigger shops like Wheat Ridge. There's also Bike Mark in Texas, and a couple other ones out there that carried both brands and were able to just navigate that. Well, unfortunately, what that did to the cycling industry as independent bike dealers, it really kind of, or it did for sure, made all the showrooms like boutique-y to the point where a lot of entry-level riders or new to the cycling industry walk in that showroom floor and seeing back then a $5,000 or $6,000 bike, and they were like, "This is too expensive for us. We're going to walk right out." It's like walking into a Porsche showroom and going, "There's no way I'm going to be able to buy anything here, so why waste my time?" They have more people turning away from the doors than going in. Needless to say, but all those brands still found a market and still pushed the envelope. Prices going higher and higher and higher and higher. Also, they brought in the low end, like, "Oh, we're not going to sell any of the Trek 820s because we don't make enough money off of those. It's too much of a lift for us. So we're going to get rid of those models," which is the $200, $300 model back then. Now it would be a $400 or $500 model. And basically, as one of the other industry leaders, or no longer industry, well, kind of still is, that I've talked to, and worked for one of the major brands, basically said they did it to themselves. They now need to sit and fester in it. And seeing that and knowing that, listening to those industry vendors at the conference, I still feel there's a pretty significant disconnect. Like, they're still toting their company Kool-Aid, but not that I have ever heard a very passionate or convincing argument that they were there for the independent bike dealer. Oh, they're there to sell you stuff, and they're there to tell you the prices are going to go up, but they're not going to give you any opportunity to help you how to navigate all that, which resonated to the show part, where when I talked to the vendors, like, "Hey, well, a little guy like me, can you, can I get an account with you?" Like, "No, we don't sell to people in the garage." Still don't. And there's, apparently our money is not good enough for them. So they turned the back on us. Still, they may change after a year or so, but at this point, some of those vendors, if you're not going to work with me now, when you're in dire straits and you need help, and I'm giving you an idea of maybe smaller shops that maybe are not traditional, because that's basically the flavor is the industry is changing, and your traditional shops, or a lot of them, are not going to be traditional in any sense. Like mine, I don't have a brick and mortar. I still have a service department area. I still have a fitting area. I still have a shipping area, but it's just micro size. I also have a YouTube corner, social media corner. So, hey, that's the new mix. And regardless if you're in a garage or in an industrial unit or a retail space, you're basically still not acknowledging how you can help the cycling industry versus worrying about where the company is going, which they do need to. I do understand there are for-profit companies, but they put themselves in such a sling that when they're going back to the independent bike dealers and saying, we need your business, a lot of those are going to go, no, thanks, I'm good. I'll figure out how to get my stuff somewhere else. You're not the only fish out there, that, or whatever, pipeline of inventory and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity we can buy direct overseas in small quantities and not pay the inflated shipping rates and what have you. It may not be the brand, it may not be the, whatever, but we can still get a lot of the stuff. And there are a lot of vendors that those distributors are no longer carrying. Those vendors are going direct to consumer. Also, they can go to direct to bike shop and give us a deal. I have dealer agreements now. They're independent small dealer agreements. They're not a huge variety of products, but I can squirrel enough what I need to get done and do what I need to do without having to have those huge contracts and those commitments. I think it was, I needed to purchase something like, what was it, $5,000 a month from them to even think about doing business with me. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I will absorb some of the smaller margins from buying stuff on sale and still be way happier with free freight for $50 and over, and less to deal with any of that. I only buy what I need, period, mic drop. I'm not going to let anybody dictate what I need to carry. There's never going to be a preseason order coming for me ever from this establishment. Reason being is that it doesn't make any sense. As right now, the industry is so freaking weirded out that we do not know what's going to happen next month. That's how bad it is. Even at the independent bike dealer, we're hoping on a prayer right now that we'll have a good insurgence of service. These people are going to need a lot of bikes to be repaired on their technical stuff. And we need to adjust our service departments to be able to take on all those needs to service our community, and also be engaged in our community as well, either through charity rides or events or what have you, being part of that. And then also cultivating a good used product line that's not tariffed anymore because it's already been in the United States. We have a huge amount of inventory sitting in other people's garages. Case in point, I picked up 4 bikes in the last week when I was not even in town. I'm like, hey, I can Venmo that and pick it up on Monday. Sweet. Done. I got inventory coming in and low price points. Some of the stuff has hardly even been ridden. Would be a low lift for me to work on to make sure it's all ready to go for the next person to ride on it. And then keeping those prices down. So get a good value, high quality bike, which a bike that may have been $1,000 when it was new, now it can be produced, and me making actual profit to sustain my family and keeping around $400 or $500. I mean, it's a win-win. So a lot of shops are going this direction. we're all going to be just using consumables, cables, housings, tires, tubes, grips, those kinds of things. But when it comes to like the big uplift, like high-end shocks and Gruppos and all those things, we're not going to be stocking that, because that's going to go on a showroom little display case and never be touched. Unless you have that market where somebody wants to custom build a high-end titanium and you do that business, but you already have to have that business. It's not like it's going to come to you now. If you have that business, they're going to leverage that, or had it, but in a smaller scale. But most other business perspectives, as an independent bike dealer, we're going to be leveraging service and used. And that was repeated constantly throughout the whole conference. What those vendors could do is help us on bike shops, not let me, because they won't sell to me, but better pricing, dating, inventory, only what they need on hand, and try to work out shipping, which all those costs, they're going to have to start absorbing some of this stuff. Their big profit is being eroded, and they're going to have to commit to continue to erode their margins, because they've been eroding ours over the last 30 years. And you're like, why do you say this? Okay, back in the 90s, parts and accessories was 50 plus margin. Buy a tube for $2 and sell it for $6. Buy a jersey for $30, sell it for 60 or 70. That was what they call keystone, with double the amount margins. Most, if not all, accessories, all the parts were usually deeper. That's how you offset the 30 to 40% margin that you were getting on bikes. And granted, they weren't $10,000 bikes back then. I mean, the most expensive ones we sold were like $2,000. That was the top of the line. But even then, you were making 30, 40% margin. What they're expecting us to deal with is 20 to 30% margin on your parts and P&A, maybe 30% on your part, or if your service department stuff, maybe 40 if you're lucky. And on bikes, anywhere from 20. And that's ridiculous. You can't run a business off of that. Absolutely not. And they've been eroding that, and they're making it the norm. Like that's where you're expected, which is like margins they've been keeping it for themselves. And case in point, how can you not notice that some brands have mansions, some brands have overly priced salaries, some companies are like, oh, we had several different warehouses, and so all what I've heard from these vendors at this particular juncture is they're reorganizing it to be more profitable and streamlined for themselves, to either cut out some labor, cut out some warehouses, and what have you. And really, they were trying to say it's going to be good for you if we do these changes, which realistically, you're doing it all for yourself. This is like a bad date. Like, you're ordering the food for yourself, but you're not the shareables, you're not sharing. Like, come on. It's not like you're really contributing back. Okay. That's the soapbox part. That's my perspective. And I probably alienated most of those vendors out there at some level, but come on, you're not reading the room. You have a whole bunch of independent bike dealers that are going to be doing a shit ton of service this year. And they're going to be leveraging a lot of used product, not your product. And that's what the market's driving. So you better come up with the right product mix real damn quick with the right pricing, or you're not going to be around anymore. Case in point, where's KHS? Gone. They decided to retire. They saw this crap coming and they're like, done. And then you have a lot of companies that are closing warehouses or moving warehouses around. Not anybody's going to grow in the next couple of years. We're in hibernation mode. Like, we need to do what we can to sustain the cold winter. And this winter is going to be long. So that being said, that's a lot to unpack. And when you're sitting in there and reading the room, you're trying to, learn other people's ways of doing business and see if there's something that's there that help your business and help your community. Because when it comes down to all us business owners or bike shop owners or bike mechanics, we like bikes. We like the people that ride bikes. We're the front line. We are the community. We're part of that community. We want to be part of that community. I mean, there's some shops are not. They're more business oriented. That's fine. That's what they want to do. But we are part of that community, right? And the vendors, who knows what they're going to do with themselves? And they know it. They are so far up the creek right now. They know it. And they don't know what to do. But I can tell them in a whisper in their ear, time to be kind, time to reach out, because the ones that really help the independent bike dealers, however, I mean, that should be the open-ended question when they walk in the door and go, what can we do to help you out? Period. There's no answer, no question, too far-fetched. What can we do to help you? Like, is it free product? Is it better dating? Cheaper freight? What are we going to do? What can we do to help you sustain? Because they have to basically bring back or earn the trust of the independent bike dealers for them to even want to invest into any of those companies. A lot of the times it was basically off of just the ease of having their stuff come in, but now they don't have stuff, or their stuff is too expensive, or they don't have the right stuff. I feel like George Carlin. Stuff on stuff on stuff, like a comedian back in the day. Anyway, so it's a scenario where if they're not helping and really helping the independent bike dealers to earn the trust back, we're not going to help them get through this as well. It goes both ways. And that's where the big disconnect is. And then you have this big conference, the People's for Bike Conference, which is a big thing going on. It was coinciding at the same time with this conference, but in a different place. I was not there. But that's where you have the leaders of Trek and Specialized and all of them, like People's for Bike. It's a whole legislation type thing, trying to get legislation power or money to build roads for bikes and community outreach and all that stuff. It's great stuff. But those individuals are just so far removed from everything. It's like, it's just nuts. And reading some of those is just like those articles about that particular conference is like, whatever. I got some bikes to work on. I got some people to take care of. I got some families with kids that looking for bikes. I'm here to help them out. I don't need to, be worried about the big brands and where they're going, if they're even going to be around. Because if they're not going to come and reach out and try to help us independent bike dealers from small because we're all branching out in different directions. A shop closes, what's going to open? Maybe a garage shop like mine or a mobile, they'll fit that void. It's being fragmented because those big shops is no longer the correct business model. I've told everyone that's told me they're having really good success last year, which mostly was in service and mostly in the e-bike realm. Oh, we're thinking about expanding. I told them, like, no, please don't do that, because you will hurt yourself in the long term, because you do not know what's going to happen in a year. It's glory right now. You're doing really good. You're serving the community. Everything's clicking. It's great. It's awesome. I love that feeling when that happens in the shop. But that is a short dopamine hit. And when the reality hits in about 6 months to a year to 2 years, when you still have that contract on all that space, you're trying to fill that inventory, which there is none, or it's overpriced and nobody wants it, you're going to be screwed. So luckily, they were like, oh, good point. You want to hold off and reevaluate what's going on, because it's so uncertain. So expansion, even if you are doing well, you're not going to expand. You're going to keep it small. A lot of shops are having struggles and going under. There's several around me that are closing. And there's going to be more of that, which is heart-wrenching, because this banner behind me, Parker Bikes, I put my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears with my family for over a decade, and we failed. It crashed and burned, and I do not wish that on anybody, to have their dreams crushed like that. So as a bike shop, as a small little micro bike shop with maybe a little bigger voice, reaching out like, hey, let's help each other. Let's keep the momentum of the NBDA moving forward. If you need to work through them or work through me through them or whatever, enjoy the content, please let me know. We're all in this together, and we're trying to support our communities, those who love riding. I deal with them daily. If they come by, they tell me their stories of how their life has been changed by riding and being part of cycling and their adventures. It's just uplifting. It keeps me doing what I do. I mean, I'm not just a bike mechanic. I'm not a therapist. I'm not any of those things, but I'm part of their community. That's what I am. So that's where it becomes huge for all us independent bike dealers to find that, and tell those brands like, either going to be helping us out through these troublesome times, or we're not going to not be able to help support you, because we got to protect our community first. And then we might think about buying an extra preseason order. Never. Those days are done, and they need to realize that, and they need to figure out a different way of helping the cycling community, because if they're not going to help, they're not going to be around. So it don't matter. And somebody else will come in and fill in that void better. And maybe it's a bike co-op made of bike mechanics, bike shop owners or something, going, hey, we need a better way of doing this. Let's figure this out. And, we know our basics that we need to run our business. And hell, if we need to just buy it off of Amazon and pay a little more extra, but we get it tomorrow to take care of that customer and not worry about the shipment and the freight of $600 or whatever it is now, and the cost of that might be the direction to go. And they hate when I say that. Because consumers are already doing it. Like, why should I buy it directly from their website when I can go and buy it cheaper on Amazon and get it here within a shorter period of time? And granted, there are some false products out there. Absolutely. That needs to be mindful of it. But there's still a lot of legit products that are being sold and bought through companies that are, more direct. Brings the cost down. Remember when I talked about how many markups there is between being built in Taiwan and getting in the States, and every vendor, everybody has their little pocket that needs to put in there. When you streamline that down, well, you get a little bit more margin, but you also keep the prices down, regardless of whatever's going on with gases and tariffs and everything else in between. So regardless, end of the day, us bike shop owners and mechanics, regardless, are going to try to help our community, however that is. Regardless if we have to buy it from Amazon or eBay or anywhere else other than the vendors, we will do that. Case in point, that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years without vendors. If I can sustain and make a profit and still keep doing it, most bike shops can too. That's the brutal truth of it. And they don't need to have those high commitments or those inflated weirdness going on with them. So in any case, that's my gist of what I got from the vendor and the bike shop relations within the NBDA. But the conference was also very uplifting because it really gave the tools to a lot of shops out there that are newer, a lot of extra insights of going, oh, this is how I can really navigate this. Because when you're looking at service, and you're looking at used, I can say that and make it sound easy, but when it comes to actually doing it, it's a harder lift for some of these shops. And that being said, it makes it difficult for them to either shift gears and so forth, which they're going to have to do. There was a lot of conversations like, oh, I did this, helped out. I saw a video yesterday. It's like, hey, easy thing. Go to your Google page and make sure it's fresh, get some extra pictures on there, and ask all your customers for a Google review. Because that's where the whole informational society is today. They go to their phone, bike shop near me, boom. Your shop's going to show up. Oh, great reviews, boom. That's where a lot of shops are average, getting that pipeline of service and also building their community, because a lot of these people, depending on your area, there's usually an influx every 3 years of new people moving in and out of the neighborhood, and you need to recapture them. The Google is a great way. That was an excellent video, kind of a dry video, but it was an excellent video, and it had some great bullet points to it. And with that being said, that really helps smaller shops like garage shops, mobile shops to get their presence out there without a huge financial uplift and only a little bit of time to do that. And then the other thing that really kind of I was trying to resonate, well, just being there and a fly on a wall, is when I was talking to bike shops, and there were several that walked up to me like, hey, I'll watch you. I'm like, social media has really helped drive my business. Like 80% of my business is driven from social media, YouTube videos and so forth. But what the direction I did it was such a hard lift, it really hasn't paid for itself, which is fine. But in the interim though, there's a gold nugget there of doing shorter content, real quick, 2-3 minutes. And I've seen other influencers do this that have bike shops and had really good success at it. And it's a low lift, high yield, and be able to drive more interest into your shop. And it'd be really interesting to see if those shops either do that, and when they do, what kind of business and traction they're getting. Let's put it this way. The service work I'm getting is not just local to my 5-mile radius. It is actually within 2 to 2.5 hour drive either direction of the Front Range. You know how many bike shops somebody is driving by to come up and drop off their bike for me to work on because they saw me here and they're going, I know that guy's going to take care of my stuff. He's pulled the veil back. He's the only one that's doing it. It's like, it's basically, they get that, comfort of like, oh, my bike is going to be taken care of, which a lot of shops do. A lot of them do. They have that passion. They love doing it and so forth, but they need to share that. They need to be able to convey that to their communities around them. And that's where I've had a huge success. Therefore, I have people driving from South Denver to Wyoming to have me work on their stuff. And I feel grateful for them to doing that and trusting me to work on their bikes, which gives them such great joy. It's a win-win. So try to cultivate the shop that you're looking for if you're an avid cyclist and see if it's the right fit for you. We all are different wackadoodles. So honestly, I might not be the person for you, or somebody else may not be the person for you. Or in my case, I don't work on e-bikes. So I'll give you a direction to a guy that I entrust with e-bikes and that kind of thing. So it's more of a community feel from my perspective. But as a bike mechanic or a bike shop, that's where you really need to be leveraging. That's where you need to be looking at, because that's the only place we're going to have growth this year, is building stronger, bigger communities. There's a lot of people who are going to be turning to the bikes because of several reasons in their life. Either it could be gas prices have gone up, which we've always seen a spike in cycles going up as well. Bikes going up if gas prices go up. Economy, cost of living is going up. Bikes go up too because it's a way of transportation. Maybe cut out a couple of days of work. I'll just ride to work, that kind of thing. And then the worst case scenario, like we've had suffering here, lost job in the family unit. Man, that's a huge deficit that we have to overcome and switch around. Might be getting rid of a car. We're going to be doing a lot more local areas. Might be riding to the park more, doing those kinds of things. So cycling can fit into all those perspectives, not just to those who are avid cyclists or riding for health or riding for, it does fit that too. But we're just now going to have a micro boom, if you will, in the service area and also in used, related to the K-shaped economy, wherever you want to look at it, because a lot of us are on the downside of that, and not very many of us are on the upside of that. So here we are. We're here to be together. We're here to support each other, far and near. Here we are, and I'm here for you. And thank you for being a part of this, because if it wasn't for you, this would not be happening. This is awesome, and I really appreciate it. Let's go to the chat and see who's been chiming in and yelling at me before I launch go. I have to shorten these to an hour now or less or somewhere on there because, as you can see, I got stuff to work on, and that's what's really actually paying the bills. So I love doing this stuff, but honestly, yeah, it's what we need to do to take care of our families, take care of our cycling community and everything. Okay, I got to scroll up here and we'll see what I missed. Schwinn guy. We used to be a Schwinn dealer back in the day. That little sign over there, you can't see it in the vertical form. There we have a Schwinn. We used to be a Schwinn dealer. That's one of our first dealers, or brands that we carried, Schwinn and Trek, back in the day. Let's see here. That's a lot of corners. Yeah, talking about different parts. Yeah, cycling, bike shops are complicated. I was talking to TrackFly about that. Like they're doing the analytics and all that kind of thing. And it's very similar to what I used to do as RTK, Retail Toolkit, as a managing inventory and all that kind of stuff. They're doing some great things. And I was talking about the bike industry. And it's like, bike shops are crazy. They're nuts. It's a weird business model, and they're not all the same whatsoever. So it's a very diverse craziness to it. All right. Love it. 351. Thank you for welcoming to the garage. Okay, I got a friend. I got a Ozark Ridge Pro and set off Shimano MT500 wheels on sale. All price of $780. The equipment trek cost is $1,200. Doesn't it boost it, huh? Well done, Walmart. Well, the thing we've always said this since the 90s. Like if Walmart got their shit together, we'd be fucked. Because that was our low end. We were a low end bike shop back then. I mean, because it just, the Ozark Trail line, they're hitting it. The only drawback is not put together by a professional mechanic. So find a shop that that's not going to have the stigma or be dicks about it of having you bring in that bike and work on it. I'm sorry for the profanity, but it's just, there is that stigma where bike shops are like, I won't work on that stuff. And it's like, well, technically the stuff, if it's adjusted correctly, it will work pretty well for the price. I mean, we have to acknowledge that. And if the shops can't provide a used counterpart of that, or the bike brands they're carrying don't have a model that fits that price, you can't blame the customer not to go to you. And then again, the marketing influence of those brands are so freaking big. I mean, I don't know how many times I go in the summertime, I go into my local Walmart to pick up milk and I see somebody walking out with a bike. I mean, it's like, it saddens me, but yeah, on the flip side, at least they're getting a bike. Gotta take yourself out. And I was there. I used to be that prick. And now looking at things and little experiences and, a little more soul searching, I realize that I'm not the only one in the room here. It's like, I need to understand that everybody's budget perspectives and what needs to work for them. And then, yeah, I do work on department. I work on Ozark Trails. I work on all of them. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I found my way of helping out that community without alienating myself or whatever it may be. But yeah, great point. Decent bikes. And quite honestly, they're all in a damn same place. So what is really the difference? There may be some technical pieces to it here and there, but will at the end of the day, the consumer actually know or be affected by it? And probably not. Their experience is going to be the same unless it's not put together correctly. That could cause a problem. But if it's put together correctly and adjusted to them, it's a fine. Randy Ranger, thank you for chiming in. Yeppers, Garmin gave me my walking papers yesterday. After 20 years of working with them, they wanted me to produce more volume. Yeah. Yeah. They got too big and they think they can just still push people around in this market. Are they crazy? If I have a prediction, any company is doing that to their dealers right now, they're not going to be a company. That's desperate moves on their end. Really shows what's really going on the back end. Their stuff ain't selling. They're not going to be showing any profit margin. Case in point, when you're looking at a Giant and Merida and Idol having down numbers and compounded with Canyon 7% down on top of what's already been down. I mean, I don't have to take my shoes off to count how much the percentage is over the course of the last 4 years they are down. So nobody is safe. Case in point, the first statement, there's nobody coming in to save us. There's no cavalry, and that includes the vendors. We're not big industry like automobiles. Those CEOs can't march up to Congress and go, hey, we need money. We're too big to fail. And especially this administration, they could go, they don't care about bicycles at all. At all. They actually hate them. So, yeah, there's nothing going to save them. Good. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. I mean, some vendors need to be called out if they're doing dumb things, and shared, because somebody else out there probably carries them and goes, oh, that's weird. They did the same damn thing to me, or they're big enough they're absorbed it, but did that make it right? That's not right. Yeah. Yeah. If we're gonna, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, Garmin is a good product. I don't know why they'd have to be so weird, but when things get short and they don't have enough money to pay the CEO salaries, they kind of freak out, I think, a little bit. Small town Arizona, local bike shop, couldn't make it. I'm the only one here doing bike repair. There's a lot of bikes out there. If one can't get their bike fixed, it's not worth much. Yeah, that's kind of sad, Schwinn guy. I'm sorry. I mean, well, but here's a little thing for you. Bike Farmer, a lot of you know him. Small town, same scenario. He closed his doors because he's now all in the social media thing. That's what he's going to do from here on out. Fortunate for his area, though, I don't think there's any other shops in his small town, but the town is pretty close to bigger cities, so they can actually do some service and that kind of thing. But yeah, even him in a small micro level is pulling out, is causing a huge disservice. So when you look at the big corporate brand stores that are closing their doors because it's not showing to the bottom line, and they have to protect themselves as a big corporation because they bought over so many stores, which apparently Trek still has 200 and Specialized is still around 100 or so. That was a lot bigger number before the last 2 years. So they shrunk their market down. And what's really disheartening to me and painful is that bike shop was purchased by that brand, made it a shop. Some people didn't really probably loved it, but they still had a shop, right? And now that shop is gone. Now there's no shop. So where are they going to get their tubeless tires reseated, or their chain waxed, or even just general service, or their e-bike stuff worked on? Now they're going to seeing us on YouTube saying, okay, this is how you do this. And if they're not mechanically inclined, some of it is pretty technical stuff. They're not going to ride. They're going to stop riding, which is horrible. It's painful. That bike is going to get in the garage and go take walks instead. It just erodes the expansion of cycling that we built for decades, and it just cuts it at the knees. And it's just like, it should be a better exit. It's like if they say they're going to have to close the store down because of it doesn't fit their profit margin model, well, maybe they should try to give something like to the community. Like, okay, well, Bob, do you want to buy your bike shop back, or we'll give it back to you? Or service department guys that we're gonna have to let go, do you guys want to give it a run and become like a small shop yourself? Something will help you with support of that transition. Maybe that's the better way of doing it. You got to hand the torch, because as bike shop people, we feel like it's a community, but their business structure is not community-ish, in my opinion. Really, my opinion. They could do better. They could do a lot better. They have the means of doing a lot better. They just don't. Oh, yeah. First Schwinn dealer in 72. Schwinn guy. Wow. Whew. I think I was still in diapers. You're old. I say that nicely. I mean, it's good to be that old, because the alternative just is not great. Oh, love it. Let's see here. It's got a Shimano Q's. Yeah, I saw that one. It was like Q's and Tecto brakes. Like, that's not bad. That's some decent bits on there, not like foreign bits on there. GLVH K2I. The show was cool. It was good to see and recognize old friends and acquaintances. You know, it was kind of cool. I mean, I actually recognized some of those people, and it's actually really nice to see people in person, especially the members of NBDA, where I had a lot of virtual meetings and so forth. And I did the VIP whatever event before. It was actually at Las Vegas Cycles, I think it was called, bike shop in Summerlin. And beautiful shop, really cool people. It's just really cool. And it's just to see, just, you know, I was nervous, honestly. I was nervous because I haven't been in these environments in a long time. And man, it was like warmly received. Like, oh yeah, you know, it's like, oh, I watch you or hear you. And some of them got confused. They thought I was the bike farmer. I know they were, because you look in their eyes and they're like, didn't you have longer hair? It's like, that was a long time ago, not recently. So nothing against the bike farmer. It's like, I think you got the wrong influence. Hey, watch my stuff too. You might get more out of it in your perspective, maybe. But yeah, it was really cool. Thanks for chiming in. Glad you were there. And yeah, and I met several people that just walked up and just said, oh yeah, I watch your channel. And you know, a lot of them are smaller shops. It was great because my outreach is for smaller, independent, wackadoodle shops, which is great. You know, this is where I live. This is where I feel most comfortable and have the most successes and have the most fun, and made cycling, being in the cycling industry, enjoyable. Because working at Parker Bikes, the banner behind me, was stressful and hard and painful, and had good moments, but man, there were some hard times. And you know, if you can find that place where it works with you and your family and your community and all those things, it's a great thing. It's so awesome. Yeah, it's still hard, and it's not what I do hard or trying to make things work better. It'll eventually come. Like, you know, the social media influence thing, they'll eventually get there. Even though the hundreds of hours I put into it, I probably have paid money into it and then got back, which is fine. Because I feel like I've built a community, which I'm serving shops and meeting this one guy. He just started doing mobile service in California. Him and his wife. We met him at the drinking event. It's a happy hour drinking event at CABDA after the first night, and I brought my wife, and you know, we were going to hit Fremont afterwards. It was like a launching for us. But I'm sitting there, I'm talking to this guy, and I can see the passion and the love and the excitement of getting into it, but scared shitless at the same time. Like, it's like, it's good to have a steady voice out there. Like, it's going to be okay. Even when it's not okay, it'll be okay. This is the things you can do to help it. I'm here if you need to leverage me. That's fine. There's no dumb questions. You do what you want to do in your own shop and be what you want to be. That's fine. I'm here to support that. Individuality in shops is definitely a key thing. Find your niche, find your people, find your community, serve them well. Do it in a way that you can actually keep sustained. It's okay to make money. It's okay to service your community and also make money. But you definitely need to, you know, there's got to be a balance to it. And, you know, obviously a lot of us are not in it for the money. It's, you know, we're here to, I mean, obviously we do need money to sustain, but it's one of those things that we give more than we take. We always have, as independent bike dealers, we always have. And even bigger independent bike dealers have that model where they've had successes enough to be multiple locations and doing all right. But honestly, they are not living in mansions. They're very modest homes, very modest salaries, doing their thing because they love what they do and they love to uplift people in their community as well in their shops. Like Will and Sprocket, for example, they actually provide livable wages for their staff, and they're growing and they're actually sustaining really well. And it's a family business. It's awesome. So not that I wanted to ever get that big, because it adds a lot more to my plate to do, and more, to the Kegel family, the heart goes out to you, because I know the stresses are just overwhelming sometimes, but they do it day in and day out. And that's the passion that we're looking for in the cycling industry. And those are the ones that are starting up shops that have that passion. That's just a reminder, like, this is what we're here for. This is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to be part of. It's awesome. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. It was a really uplifting moment. And they're like, the other part was really funny. I started talking like, oh yeah, you should start watching my Shop Talk Tuesdays. It's like, oh, that's where I know you from. So, it's like one of those weird things. So any case, it's fun, enjoyable. It's full excitement. I'm looking forward to the season. Except for drought, water shortages for a lawn, and also forest fires. But other than that, the weather's great. It's going to be 80 degrees today, which my wife reminds me that is definitely 20 degrees higher than our average. So, if it gives lemons, make lemonade. I'm going to go for a ride. I can't do anything about that part of it. But anyway, last few more comments here. Oh, you're in Europe. Nice, love it. I forgot that. Across the pond. Met a guy. It blew me away that he actually sat next to me at the NBDA. I think his name is Ryan from Bike Book. And we had a couple virtual meetings back in the day, and it's showing me the product and so forth. It really doesn't fit my business model, but it looks really great for bike shops. And he sat down to me and he's like, holy shit, you traveled all the way here to do your pitch for Bike Book in the States and try to grow the market. But yeah, really nice guy. Hopefully I've just shared some connections with him. Hopefully, it works out for him. But yeah, it's really cool to see, the global perspective on that. And, and every time I see anybody that's from a different country, first thing I say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But here we are. So let's figure this out. Let's make this work. Here in Europe, Garmin is basically online only, and they have fired the dealers. The dealers here are stocking GIP Sport gear value. Great value. Nice. Yeah, FM and the bike shops is busy. Yeah. Their margins were less than 30%. Yeah, come on. We're not dumb, right? Back in the 90s, Oakley's, they're selling their dumb sunglasses for, I shouldn't say dumb, but they're selling their sunglasses. We were an Oakley dealer. They're selling their sunglasses for $100, $200 back then, right? And you find out it costs them less than $5 to make a pair of them. That's a lot of margin. And for them, wankers came in. We had a big sale on everything. We had a little sign that said 20% off or 30% off, just to move some of the things that they made us buy too much of. And they were like, oh, you can't have these on sale. It's against your dealer agreement or whatever and all that. It's like, we paid for these, so we should be able to sell them for whatever F we want to, regardless. And we have too much of your dumb stuff, so we need to clear the case out. So keep us, drop us, I don't care. That's Louis alludes today. And companies like, come on, tech companies that make their little $10 computers and sell them for $800 or whatever it is. We're not fooling anybody here. So for them to pull that just shows it smells like desperation. That's truly desperation. They're all going to be shifting their models and so forth. And yeah, if they're not going to be here for you now, they never were here for you ever. So that's what I would say. Any of those who are watching this that are buyers for any bike shop, only do you for you. Don't even think about whatever smoke and mirror deal, whatever they can give you, unless they truly, honestly are approaching like, what can we do to help your business thrive, to help you get through this? Because that's what I should be hearing from the big wigs, from those suppliers that supply majority, if not a good portion of the major bike shops, independent bike shops in our nation, and they're not doing really a damn thing to help us. Why should we help them? honestly. In any case, whew, you got me all fired up. I got to go work on some stuff. Got a Schwinn guy. You're going to love this. I got a Schwinn Paramount. This is actually, it was after, I think it's the second investment company, but it was still stamped to 2009. Hey, I know stamp codes on Schwinns. You should be proud of me. Built on the, has 4 numbers, 0259. So that's 365 is the 3-digit number. So it's on the 25th day of 2009. Obviously, it's not 2008 because they did it in the 80s and the 70s. So it's not a 80s bike because it's too newer for that, and it's definitely not a 70s bike. And they stopped doing those date codes a couple years after that, or the second acquisition. Actually owned by Pond Holdings now, just FYI. I forget the investment company that owned them initially. I think it was one that Bradley, my buddy Bradley, was working for. But it has Reynolds 853 tubing and aluminum fork, which counterproductive. But anyway, it's rough, but I'm going to do some detailing on it, and I'm going to do some before and after videos, little snippets of it. It's going to be freaking awesome. 600 Ultegra, or actually Ultegra is after 600. Ultegra group throughout. So these were an awesome bike. I mean, second step down from the top of the line from Dura-Ace with a high-end chromoly frame, which even though they were building these when chromoly was still not that popular, now it's like super popular again, but steel is real, right? Titanium steel bikes, thumbs up. Cables on the outside. Let's keep it all out. Let's not tuck that stuff in. That's weird. Don't make it weird, brands. You're making it weird. Very accessible for somebody to work on. You don't need to be a rocket scientist or figure out threading of housing through internal cabling and all that. Ultegra wheels with Open Pro rims with Colorado Cyclist stickers on the, used to be a mail order back in the 80s and the 90s. Stickers on the wheels. Bought this off a guy on a farm. It's obviously been in a shed or a barn for, I don't know how long. His wife's bike. He's actually the actual photographer that shot like all the 90s racers for mountain bike and road and all this. He was going on all these stories. So I'm going to try to rope him in and do some show and tell if he has and if he wants to do it. But in any case, you never know who you're going to know. You meet on adventures of doing things like this. It's just so cool. And it's like, yeah, oh yeah, I was part of the cycling industry. It's like, your bike sure doesn't look like it. It's the conditions like total horrible, but hey. Oh, you had a 73 Paramount. Ooh, that's a nice one. Good college from guy. All right. Cyclery. Oh yeah, Las Vegas Cyclery. It looks cool. Apparently they had some Kool-Aid, like the building was built with all sustainable, from materials, and they have like solar panels. And I'm surprised I don't see as many. They should be like, I mean, the city should be covered with solar panels, like everything. Even the parking should be covered with solar panels in Vegas, because the sun intensity is no other. Like, man, August out there, holy smokes, guys. It's a whole new level of heat. It's dry, but whoo, nothing like, yeah, that's something. In any case, I hope I better run. I said it a little while ago. Sorry, you get a little bonus time. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for the trusted partners of actually, support me, support each other. That's where I'm at. That's my happy place. Those kinds of things, those partnerships, and I'm trying to elevate them as much as they're going to try to elevate me. And I got some great projects in the works. I'm looking at them. I all file them up this morning, and been selling some stuff too. So I got a frame out and wheels yesterday. So things are starting to move along from the used parts and wheels and bikes perspective, so which is good. And service, I got tune-ups lined up, and I'm working on talking to my buddy Jack. We're gonna see if I can refresh my service page, my website, to make it a little more digestible by anybody. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? That's another gold nugget for all you bike shop people out there, especially if you're in a bigger shop that your service is only 8 to 10%. take a look at your service page on your website. I can guarantee you it's shit. Because why would you put money into that small part of your business? But now that's something, the part that you need. If you're not already doing it, think about it. And hopefully in a couple weeks time, you can look at mine and go, that's a good idea. I'm going to steal that. That's fine. I'm not here to, whatever. I'm here to like give you examples of stuff that does work. Anyways, and tell you what not to do, because some of that stuff is stinky. And when you step in it, it's bad. Any case, good luck with your vendors. Good luck with your shops. Tip your mechanics. Try to get out and ride. And again, thanks for hanging out with me. And it's Tuesday, it's Shop Talk Tuesday. I'm sorry for last week, I missed it, but I did have a live on Wednesday, so watch that. I was walking through the show. It's kind of entertaining. And we'll see you on Friday, on Freak Out Friday. And I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Try to get out there. Try to get your mind out of all the other crap that you're dealing with. Try to be pleasant to those around you, because you do not know their state of the state. And if they're having some troubles, you could be their guide and light for the day, for the moment, for the second. Open that door, give them a hand, listen, simple things, be human. We're all human. Thanks to you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful time. And we're going to get through this together. And let's not freak out too much. All right. Shout out to you guys. Randy, love having you in the channel. Thank you for chiming in. You rock on as well. Schwinn guy, thank you for chiming in. Warms my heart having industry icons like yourself chiming in. Love it. Yeah, you have a great week too. Hopefully it's nice and you're across the pond there. GLHV, yeah, you're in Vegas. Parking lots should be all covered. I'll probably be out there sooner than I thought, because we had water damage in our condo that had eluded me not to miss the last day of the show, because I had to go deal with plumber and restoration, and we're going to be doing that. But once that gets all fixed through insurance and all that, hopefully the water came from the unit from above. So, hot mess. Glad it's not my living, it's not my primary residence. So it's great that we don't have to be there. But it's just still, let's just say that's the last thing we needed to deal with. But here we are. We're going to deal with it. And I might be in your neck of the woods. All right. You guys take care. Bill from Vital Bike Chains. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. I hope you have a great day. All those pre-waxed chains. Brad, yeah, thank you for chiming in. I love it, Schwinn guy. You guys are awesome. Scott, yeah, thanks for chiming in, reminding me of the event this week. And 65 Bug Nut, thank you for chiming in at the earliest. And Pedro, the beginning of the chat. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, have a good time. What are you going to do? All you're going to do is cry. You might as well laugh at it. In any case, here's some technical tidbit that everybody needs to learn about. I'll leave you with this thought.
Chain links. Don't mess these up. They are definitely a revolutionary change in link systems for bicycle chains. But you need to know a couple things about these before you actually install them or take them off a bike. Let's review. First thing you need to know is these chain links are reusable, and they also could be used on Shimano and SRAM chains. So if you want a reusable, which they don't claim theirs are, chain links that are removable, this is the ticket for you. The second thing you need to know is you do not need to use a tool, nor should you ever use a tool to install or take these off. Pretty simple. Put the link in with the bubble side down, then you do the other link here. Once you get them together, fold the chain up, slide into place, and your link is there. If you use a chain tool on this, you will damage this link, so keep the tool away. No. Then you put the chain in, which is really great for chains to be clean easily, also for re-waxing. You will find these links on all of their chains from single speed to 12 speed. Just make sure the Connex Link is on there, even their pre-waxed chains as well.
You can also buy them as an aftermarket for your current Shimano SRAM or a backup link to put in your pack. In any case, these are one of those mind-blowing link systems which, like all bikes should have anyway. Hopefully you found good insights on this particular chain link from Connex, and if that works for something for you, all the better. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If it's nice in your neck of woods, please go for a ride.
Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and true. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set where it works for you.
There we go. I didn't mean to do that as a double up. But anyway, oh, I'm gone. There we go. Yeah, I forgot to do some back end settings here before I let you go. But yeah, we're in some wild and crazy times. Set some redirects. There we go. Yeah, again, hope all of you have a wonderful and spectacular week. All right. Yeah, I'm a bike mechanic trying to YouTube. Oh, yeah. Tearing apart a Schwinn. Oh, these shifters are sticky. 80% chance for them to come back to life. Oh yeah, if you like the graphic, they have t-shirts in the shop shelf below. You can customize them. You can put your own shop on there if you want. I don't care. We're all here together, right? Everybody have a wonderful day.